Greetings, greetings, greetings on another brand new day. We're here. You're here with Doc Ock at noon, doing the noon and 9 thing. We're going to put out a song and hope that it rings. That's right. Today, we're back in our book, My Life in the Bush of Ghosts, going to the 20th town of Ghost. The 20th town of Ghost, the headquarters of all of the Bush of Ghost, the town where the king of the Bush of Ghost resides. And the proverb for today is, when a man is coming toward you, you need not say, come here. When a man is coming toward you, you need not say, come here. Seems like that just makes sense. You need that, no explanation on that one. And that is from Ethiopia. All right, so returning to the works of Amos Tutuola of Nigeria, My Life in the Bush of Ghosts. Let's see what happens today. You know, yesterday we talked about our hero was still in the jar. He had been transmogrified and placed in a jar where his body's inside the pitcher. They call it a pitcher. He's inside of this pitcher, but his head is on the outside, but it's really huge, like the size of an elephant's head, and it's on a neck that is like a stick, so it's not very pliable. It can't turn or move or anything like that. So he's in a kind of a very strange predicament, which is typical in when you're living in a bush of ghosts. What would you think life would be like? So he's in the jar, and he's been he was placed at a crossroads at one point at the ninth town of Ghosts, and then he was stolen. He's taken to the 20th town. So now he is just arriving in the 20th town of Ghost at the behest of the king of the Ghost, because everybody wants to see our hero, who still remains nameless. If there's ever a name in here somewhere, I'll let you know. But so far, this hero remains nameless. His name is just I or me. Okay, he's only known by a pronoun. So now he's when he was on before they left, this 20th town of Ghosts is very far away. So what they did is there was a man or a chief of a village, and then he put a tree on top of his head, and then he put the okay, hold on, let me get it right. First, they put the pitcher with the young hero in the pitcher. They put that on top of a coconut tree and put the coconut tree on top of the head of the chief. And then the chief then is walking with this coconut tree on his head and the pitcher on top of the coconut tree. I really didn't understand the significance of all that, but that's how they're going. And so now to get to the 20th town of Ghosts, they need to fly, but they don't have any airplanes. So then they hook something else up with some birds or something. I forget. Oh, it was a bunch of different kinds of birds. And somehow they got it together, and, you know, more than just, it's not just the chief and the hero that are being flown by these birds. Other people as well are going. So he's still smoking this huge pipe, and there's still a guy that's stoking the pipe while they're flying. So this is really hard to imagine. I wish I could draw a picture for you of all this, but you just have to draw the best picture in your mind of the young hero in the picture on top of the tree, on top of the chief, on top of the birds as they fly from one town to the next town. So here they go. Within 2 hours in the air, they reached the 20th town. But before we reached there, millions of ghosts have been waiting and looking in the air for us. Immediately we appeared to them, and they saw me at the front with the long pipe in my mouth, with the smoke which was rushing out of it, as from a big boiler. Then the whole of them were shouting at me, pointing their hands at me, and then rushing here and there to the king's palace. But when the palace could not contain all of them, then they rushed to their field, which was about 9 miles in diameter. Then we landed on the center of the field. It was very surprising to me to see over 20,000 children smashed to death before we reached the field. Immediately we landed, I started to sing and dance together with the tree, the ghost who carried the tree, and the chief ancestor who carried us. Oh yeah, that's right. There was another. Yeah, so there's the hero on top of the tree, on top of a ghost, on top of the chief, on top of the birds. Oh yeah. When all the ghosts of this 20th town with his majesty, the king, could not bear to hear my earthly songs and also see my dance and sit down or to stand up motionless, then they joined us to dance. And again, the smoke of the pipe was rushing out of my mouth continuously because the ghost who was specially chosen to be loading it with the fresh tobacco did not neglect his duty at all. But after the whole of them danced with me till the late hour in the night, then the chief ancestor commanded that the whole of us should stop, and we did so. But hardly as none of us were tired or satisfied. After that, he commanded the coconut tree to stand still on the ground with the magical commandment. And at the same moment, it stood on the ground as if it was planted there. Then he commanded it again to bend down, and it did so at once. After that, he took me from the top of it and put me on the ground. Again, he commanded it to stand upright as it was, and it did so. They took me from this field to the palace. Having reached there, they built a special doorless house, which had only one room in this palace for me, and put me inside it, so that other kinds of ghosts might not steal me away before the day would break, because it was that day they specially arranged for Gala Day in the 20th town, as the first one was a hint. After they put me inside this doorless house, they also put uncut roasted sheep before me to eat. After that, everyone went to his or her house to be preparing for tomorrow, on which the Gala Day would be celebrated throughout. Immediately, they put this roasted sheep before me. I was eating it greedily, as I was very hungry in respect of the smoke of the tobacco, which was intoxicating me like hard drink. But as I was eating it greedily, and when it was 1 o'clock midnight, the wall of the house split into two suddenly. And there I saw another kind of ghost enter through that space. I looked at him with fear, as he was not a native of the 20th town. Then he came to me cautiously with a big coil of rags of cloth on his head. The first thing he did, he sat down and started to eat the meat. And within a minute, he finished it. For this reason, I was so frightened, and also his exceedingly fearful appearance with his harmful attitude. So I tried to run away, but the picture did not allow me at all, obviously. Having finished the meat without hesitation, he put me on his head. He got me out of the palace cautiously and then kept going in the town to an unknown place. But as this 20th town is a large town, he traveled for about 2 hours before he reached the gate of the town. As the gate is watched both day and night, so he met the gatekeeper at the gate. When the gatekeeper saw me on his head, he challenged him that where he was carrying me to. But instead of answering the gatekeeper's question, he was only telling him to open the gate for him to pass. But when the gatekeeper insisted, and after both argued for a few minutes, then he put me down closely to him. After that, both were fighting fiercely, so that all the other creatures who were living at the back of the gate woke up from sleep and came nearer to the scene. They were looking and laughing at them. As the gatekeeper was struggling to take me from him and return me to the palace, and the ghost who was carrying me away was also struggling violently to take me away to his town. After they were fighting fiercely for about 2 hours, so as the gatekeeper has 7 of the same kind of juju, which he could use, to change the night to day 7 times. Now, juju is just magic. In the day, because he has no power at night, but only in the day. And again, okay, so he's got this juju, which he could use to change the night to day 7 times, because he has no power at night, but only in the day. And again, the ghost who is taking me away has 8 jujus, which could change the day to night as well, because he has no power in the day. So the gatekeeper first threw down one of his 7 jujus on the ground. And at the same moment, night changed to the day. So he became more powerful than the one who was carrying me away, as he has no power in the day. Then he too threw one of his 8 jujus on the ground. And that day became night at once. And then he became more powerful than the gatekeeper. Both of them were using their juju like this until the gatekeeper had used all of his own. But the ghost who was carrying me away still had one. At last, he used the one which still remained with him. It changed the day to the night at the same time, so he had more power. Then he started to fight the gatekeeper, who had been already powerless. But as the gatekeeper received heavy blows from him, so he fell down suddenly. But the ghost who carried me to that place laid down on the gatekeeper and beat him greedily. So the ghost who carried me to that gate kicked the pitcher, in which I was unnoticed, and it broke into pieces. So immediately my body touched the ground. Then I changed at once to my former form before they put me in the pitcher. But as both of them were still fighting fiercely and did not know that the pitcher had broken, I've come out of it. So without hesitation, I took to my heels and left them there. Immediately, I came out from the pitcher, and then running away in the bush at that night, uncountable flies which were following me along nearly made me suspected, because all the blood of all the animals which were poured on me as sacrifice was rotten on my body as black paint, and was smelling so bad that it collected these flies from the hidden place that they slept. Even the cloth which my mother wove for me before I entered this bush of ghosts had torn into rags by the rotten blood. Okay, so here we have again another situation where he had been changed into some other, been transmogrified, and had no way of changing back that he knew of, except that his body should touch the ground if somebody broke that pitcher. So that's how he was then released from his bondage inside of the pitcher. Well, we were going to have to continue that particular chapter tomorrow. Yeah, this was one of the longest chapters in the book. So we're gonna be on this chapter for at least today and tomorrow. Hopefully we'll finish it tomorrow. We'll see. So meanwhile, we're going to be moving on. Now, we've been reading this story, and we're offering this up to people as a way to begin to rekindle if you already have an African mind, or a way to introduce if you're not familiar with the African mindset and way of looking at things. That's what the purpose is of reading this story. It's not about just reading a story and entertaining. It's about rekindling, Sankofa, return and fetch it, going back in time and picking up on some things that we left behind so we could reclaim our own mind. Because what did they say? What was that? That was Parliament Funkadelic. They said, free your mind and your ass will follow. Free your mind. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help some people out there free their minds. Okay. And we have 2 separate times, noon and 9. This is Doc Ock at noon and 9. So at noon, we provide some edutainment, not entertainment, some edutainment for the adults. At 9 o'clock, we also provide some edutainment and a bedtime story for the little ones. So, but both of those times are the adults are welcome to view. But for the noon, we're primarily focused on the adults. So we don't even make that available for the little bitty people. Just so you know. So don't forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. The more subscribers we get, the better our programming will get, because it'll free us up and allow us to do some more things with our equipment that we can't do now. We're looking for 1,000 subscribers. That's our goal, is to reach 1,000 subscribers. So make sure to tell your friends, your aunties, your uncles, your dog named Rex. Get him on here too. Okay, subscribe your dog. You know you got some dogs. You know you gave him an iPhone 11. Go ahead, hook them up. Meanwhile, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and give us a like, give us a share, show some other people that you really do care. Don't just suck up all this good knowledge that you can't get in college just for you. Spread it around all over town, and hopefully nobody will be walking around with a great big frown from their ear to their chin. Everybody's gonna win. Signing out. This is Doc Ock. We'll see you tomorrow, or we'll see you tonight when we take flight.